My congressional source, a Democrat from Florida, Congressman Jared Moskowitz. How are you seeing this House Republican investigation into D.C.'s crime stats, questioning whether they may have been manipulated? And what if the committee finds that they may have been?
Well, thanks for having me, Brianna. First of all, obviously, look, that's a serious allegation. If true, obviously, then it should be looked at. But this is James Comer who's looking at this. I mean, good God, everything Comer touches turns to crap. So, I mean, I put no faith in what James Comer is doing as he tries to become the next governor of Kentucky, just to try to please the White House. This is a guy who stopped having hearings. He's doing all these depositions in the basement, and then he's going to issue a report because he doesn't want to allow the Democrats to beat him like they did 2 years ago when he was doing the fake faux Biden impeachment that he didn't even have the votes to carry on with. So, again, look. If there was manipulation of data, it should be looked into. It's a serious allegation. But if Comer's touching it, forget it.
So Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, you probably heard him today, he told the president, stay out of Chicago. But we saw what happened in Los Angeles. Can Pritzker really do anything to keep troops out? Can Democrats in other states or in Congress really do anything?
Well, first, let me say, listen, I'm someone who's been tough on crime. I voted for the D.C. crime bill. I have voted when I was in the state legislature to increase the death penalty. So there are Democrats on a bipartisan basis that are tough on crime. We just don't believe in bringing in the military to do that. This is all a show. In D.C., he's got 30 days to get it done. I mean, I see, the National Guard in Georgetown. The only crime in Georgetown is what Lululemon is charging for their pants. And so a lot of this is just performative. And in 30 days, the criminals are waiting him out, and they'll be back. It's not really going to solve the problem. If he tries to bring them to Chicago, he can guard federal buildings, again, all performative, will not do anything on crime. It is getting the headlines off of Epstein. It is getting the headlines off of the failed summit with Russia. That's what this is about. This is about distraction. This is about outrage. It's really not about fixing any of the crime issues, which Democrats and Republicans would do on a bipartisan basis if they were serious about it.
So the statistics may show crime rates dropping in places like Chicago and Baltimore, but fear of crime is really another thing entirely. A majority of Americans have said they think crime is up, and they've said that every year since 2001. You said that people in your party are tough on crime. That is not always the perception. You're well aware of that. How is your party addressing those concerns to change that, especially when crime, if dropping, is still, you see it there, very real and on the mind of voters?
Well, look, I've always backed the blue. Yeah, look, there was some of the folks on the far left that did this defund the police nonsense. It was short-lived. It disappeared. Republicans just defunded law enforcement in their big, beautiful bill. So both sides have dabbled in it. Obviously, there's a perception issue, which is why I think you could be clear here that we're tough on crime. We're serious on tackling crime. You just don't bring the military in. Look, the Pentagon should be focusing on what's going on with Ukraine. They should be focused on what's going on in Gaza. They should be focused on China, focused on Russia, focused on all the things going on around the world. They shouldn't be focused on Washington, D.C. That's a police for the police to do. And they're going to be doing that. I mean, what is there, 2.5 weeks left and the 30 days is up? Trump doesn't have the votes in Congress to extend it anyway. And so, listen, I think more resources for police, more presence for police are important. It's going to take money to do that. I don't think there are Republicans, quite frankly, that want to put more money towards it. So they got problems on their side about how you really go ahead and tackle crime. Look, Eric, I walk around D.C. I live there, obviously, half of the time. And look, there are periods of time where I don't feel safe. And so I do think that we can improve the situation. It's why I voted for the D.C. crime bill. I just don't think you put the military on the streets, especially because it's not a full-time solution. This is a Band-Aid, won't fix the problem. It's all performative.
We heard Chief Gaynor saying as much there. Hurricane season, typically a very busy time for the Guard. You're well aware of that. Now you have more than 180 current and former FEMA workers who are warning the agency may be at risk for Katrina-type failures. What are you telling your constituents in Florida to prepare for?
Well, when I was the director of emergency management, we told everyone to get 7 days of supplies. We changed that from 3 days. They may need even more supplies. What's going on at FEMA, Brianna, is a disaster within a disaster. It is the worst case scenario. President Trump talked about reforming FEMA, making FEMA faster. Many of us in the emergency management community believed FEMA needed reform, and we want to make FEMA faster. But that is not what Secretary Noem has done. She has destroyed the agency. She has obliterated it. It is slower. It is more inefficient. It didn't respond up to FEMA's abilities in the Texas floods. And I'm deeply worried about if we got a Katrina-like event, or even less than that. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, these are states that need FEMA logistics. FEMA's not ready. God forbid we got a serious earthquake in California, which hasn't happened since Northridge. FEMA is not ready. We don't know if we're getting pre-landfall declarations, which allows FEMA to move their logistical support before a serious hurricane. We don't know if we're getting expedited reimbursement, which gets this money down into cities and counties, especially fiscally constrained areas. This is going to slow down the cleanup effort. It's going to slow down the response. This is actually against what President Trump said he wanted to do with FEMA. And so, look, Kristi Noem might have her Michael Brown moment. I hope it doesn't happen, because that means there's a city, a county, a state in this country that is being tossed to the side because what Kristi Noem has destroyed FEMA. We got to get FEMA out of Homeland Security. I actually have a bill to do that, a bipartisan bill to remove it from Homeland, make it a standalone agency like it was before 9/11, and that bill's with Byron Donalds. And so that's a bipartisan bill. That could help us fix some of the stuff. But if this stays in Homeland, there'll be nothing left when Kristi Noem is done.
Congressman Jared Moskowitz, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.